On today's Apple Daily, the whole M1X CPU Monkey thing. Mac strikes back at Go PC. Should you start saving for Apple Reality? How I made the Siri Intro. How old is the iCaveDweller? Revisiting gaming on Macs. And how long will Intel Macs get software support?
For the latest Apple news, rumors, and leaks, every weekday at 12 UTC, join us in the iCave.
Thanks, Siri. I'm iCaveDave, and I simplify Apple so that everything just works for you. And if you want the latest Apple news, leaks, and rumours every weekday at 12 UTC, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and ring my bell so that you don't miss a thing. Join the notification squad, you can get a shout out like the people at the end of this video, and all will be good in the world. And as I take a little victory sip of my coffee today, I am happy to report that Apple Tomorrow, who is our resident render monkey, the guy that makes the amazing visuals that you see on your screen. I will chuck some up right now so that you can have a quick look. He decided to put a poll up on the Twitter, and he didn't realise what kind of forces he was messing with. So it was tea versus coffee. Obviously, coffee was always going to win because coffee is a far superior beverage to tea, and I don't think he quite understood the kind of campaign I was going to run on coffee's behalf. So cheers to Apple Tomorrow. Go visit him on the Twitter. Link, as always, down in the description. So on to our first story for the day, CPU Monkey's MX1 Benchmarks, or predictions, or whatever it is. So we're going to tie this in with an iCave Answers. Slowcuber asked, do you know anything about the CPU Monkey website? They are claiming to have the MX1 SoC details, GPU and CPU counts, etc., and some benchmark results of an MX1 machine. This is not the first time I've seen the CPU Monkey thing that we're talking about here. Right, when we did our predictions video quite a while back, which I will link up here somewhere, that was basically me working out what I expected the M1X to perform like based on the number of cores that we were seeing and all that sort of thing. Now, I think about a week or a few days after that came out, some people got in touch with me and went, oh, have you seen the benchmarks? And I looked at it on CPU Monkey because it has been there for months. This is not something new, it's just that for some reason nobody paid any attention when it arrived in the first place, and now everyone's playing catch up as usual, just as we did with Apple Silicon Macs way back when I was following what Luke Miani had done on his predictions for the A14X, which turned out to become the M1 pretty much almost exactly within a % or something of the performance that he predicted was what happened. Now, Luke Miani is one of the other people that has kind of made a video about the CPU Monkey stuff. I don't think I actually made a video when I saw the CPU Monkey stuff, which I really regret now, but I think what happened was I'd made that prediction video and then someone went, oh, have you seen this on CPU Monkey? And I went, I think that's probably made up, and I will come to why in a couple of minutes. But it does also seem kind of in line with what we would expect. It doesn't seem like it's out there. It doesn't seem like it's particularly outlandish in terms of the performance they're predicting. But let's just get down to what they've actually said, and then we can take it from there. So the M1X is listed as 12 cores, which is 4 Efficiency Icestorm cores and 8 Firestorm Performance cores at 3.2 GHz, same as the M1, 16 to 32 gigs of memory, double the M1, maximum of 3 displays, which is kind of what we expect, and they list it as being for the devices MacBook Pro 14, MacBook Pro 16 and iMac 27-inch, all 2021 models. Now, this is my first red flag that this is just kind of made up, because we don't expect a 27-inch iMac to come with M1X. We expect the new sizes, so we're expecting iMac 24-inch potentially as the smaller model, and iMac 30 or 32-inch as the larger one. So that's my first kind of red flag. It seems like they're just kind of stuff that they expect, rather than stuff that they know. Single core performance in line with the M1. They've literally put exactly the same number, which kind of is a red flag for me, because even when you're comparing different M1 chips, there's always a little bit of variability, 20 to 50 points sometimes, from chip to chip, because there are slight variations, there are slight differences in temperature in a room where you're testing, there's all that kind of thing. You will never get back-to-back, like 3 in a row at least, of exactly the same number, so I'm very sceptical of this part. This is why it seems more like it is a prediction to me, and not actually we have tested this and this is the scores that we get. So that single core performance down as the same as the M1, which we would expect, but we wouldn't expect it exactly the same. We would expect it in the very, very close ballpark, because even doing the same system, you're going to get slight variations. Cinebench scores. Now, the actual numbers don't mean a great deal to anyone, but it is in line with a Core i9-7900X 10-core Intel processor or an AMD Ryzen 5700G, and it beats the 10900 i9 by a few points as well. So it's a powerful thing, assuming that this is real and not just we've taken the previous scores and doubled it, which is what I did in all honesty, but I was quite clear that I was predicting the numbers and not saying that we've tested it and this is what comes out. In terms of GPU performance, they're predicting a 16-core GPU with 256 execution units, which is exactly double what we have with the M1. And again, they had a score of 2600 for the iGPU test on the M1 and 5200 on the M1X. So again, they've just doubled the number. It doesn't look like it's actually a real thing, but it is the ballpark of what we're expecting. It is what we're thinking we're going to get, but I just don't think that they've had hands on these chips, especially because of that iMac thing. That's my biggest red flag on there. But we've had a few people that have asked about it, so I just wanted to address it. I had seen these before. That website has been up for, that page rather, on CPU Monkey has been up for at least a month, probably a couple of months, because it was almost immediately after I did my predictions video for M1X. So that's where we are with that. Mac strikes back at Go PC. So yesterday we were talking about Intel's little campaign on kind of knocking the M1, saying how you can't do this, you can't do that. And most of it was, you know, crap. But someone called Alex, just lowercase Alex with a full stop, we don't with a period at the end if you're American, sorry, has created his own kind of retaliation. Now, I can't find the original source for this on Twitter, so if any of you know who Alex is, please do drop me a comment down in the comments and let me know his handle, because I would love to give credit for this. But it's Alex. That's all we know right now. But here are the ones that he's created. If you can get 20 hours of battery on a laptop, you're not on a PC. Go Mac. If you have the world's fastest integrated graphics on a laptop, you're not on a PC. Go Mac. If you can get desktop level performance on a fanless laptop, you're not on a PC. Go Mac. And if your laptop doesn't thermal throttle or sound like a jet taking off, you're not on a PC. Go Mac. So Alex, you've done a cracking job there. Now there's a couple of things that we should definitely pick up on, just for the sake of fairness, because I know that people will come in at me on the comments otherwise. So integrated graphics, yes, for kind of dedicated laptop chips, 100%. It just blows Intel's stuff out the water. AMD, however, has done a kind of SoC style chip that uses x86 and their integrated graphics on a single chip, and it is slightly faster. It's not like a lot faster than what we've got in the M1, but as soon as we get an M1X, I think that's going to kind of fall by the wayside as well. And we do think that the M1X is going to be integrated graphics still, but just twice as fast integrated graphics. So I just wanted to bring that one up, and also the thermal throttling thing. Just wanted to address, yes, the MacBook Air will thermal throttle if you push it for a long time, but in terms of how quickly it thermal throttles compared to even an i3 or something like that in a laptop, because we've seen that in the MacBook Airs in the past, it's not even a competition. The MacBook Air with M1 thermal throttles a lot later and still performs way faster than the full performance version of the i3 or quite a lot of the i5s and i7s too. So Intel, just wind your neck in. Right, we're going to get into some more iCave answers now. Really love answering these for you guys. If you've got a question for me, down in the comments, hashtag iCave answers. First one, Suvik Mukherjee, a regular asker. Give us more news on Apple making a $4,000 VR headset. Should I already start saving money? So last I heard was $3,000, but there's also a lot of reports coming out that say like $500, but I think that's for glass, which is going to be weirdly more advanced, but at the same time cheaper, because it's going to be kind of, I think, doing less things. So I think mixed reality is the thing that Apple's going to go for. But yes, we're looking at probably a $3,000, maybe $4,000 VR headset. I think for the vast majority of people, it's not going to be something that people buy the first generation of. The reason that the pricing is as high as it looks like it will be. Obviously, we don't know exact pricing. Everything here is leaks and rumours, but it looks like it's going to have two 8K displays inside, and it's going to process everything on board. It's not going to be kind of tethered to your phone, because let's be honest, your phone is not going to be able to deal with two 8K displays. Like, the iPhone is very fast. It is not two 8K displays fast. So it's going to need to have its own beefy power stuff. But let's see what happens. Like, if you want one, start saving. Yeah, sure. Start saving in general. Saving is a really good thing to do. John Wade asks, iCave answers, I have been enjoying all of your descriptions of where iCaveDave, etc. came from and how it developed. Question. The one at the start of the show that gives the regular introduction to the show, you used to always follow this with the phrase, thanks Siri. So how did you get her/it to say this? Did you record her just rambling on about everything and then edit the spiel down to what we hear in the intro? The only time there appears to be a glitch is when she says the word iCave. Now, just to be clear, Siri prefers the pronouns them, there. So just to be nice to Siri, because obviously Siri has multiple personalities and is quite happy to adjust to what we need. But in terms of how we did it, no, I didn't record a whole bunch of stuff. It is actually a lot simpler than you probably expect. What I did was I took my iPhone, which I would hold up now and show you, but I will throw it on the screen instead. I took my iPhone, I typed in what I wanted her to say in notes, and then I highlighted it, and then I swiped across to speak, and I did a screen recording. That's it. Just did a screen recording of Siri saying this on the phone, and then basically threw that into my editor, separated the audio out so that you don't get just a notes document up on the screen, and that's how it works. So the only thing that I did do slightly differently is the word iCave, because if I just type iCave, it's going to come up as iCave. So I wrote I as in eyes, cave. That's it. So yeah, that's how we did it. If you want to get Siri to say some stuff, that's how you do it. Now we have someone else that's decided to create an account, hopefully, because if this is actually your name, it must be awful every time you try and buy anything over the phone. So this question comes in from Sachavarel Mother Maria Ashaluki Mia Nas Janavik. You're welcome. How old are you? Sorry if that's too personal. I'm new. And I don't mind. I'm 39. I'm getting old a bit now. 40 this year. It is a big birthday. Hopefully we'll be able to meet people and have a bit of a knees up for my birthday. Esatirios Maximus, which is a fantastic name, asks, since now with the M1 chip, the Macs have become more capable than ever. This means that the hardware is more than capable of running demanding games, but still the Macs are not suitable for gamers. What measures can be taken by Apple to make the Macs good gaming machines? So this is a very, very good point. The Macs have got all the power they need to run games. There is no issue with that. A 1050 Ti, yeah, you're not going to be running 4K ultra settings on Cyberpunk or something like that, because obviously Cyberpunk is a broken piece of crap. But, you know, for gaming on a laptop, it's going to be pretty capable. It's not going to be bad at all. The problem that we have is that, number one, very few developers, so far at least, have released games that are optimized for M1, for Apple Silicon. So the vast majority of games you're going to be playing through Rosetta 2, which is going to take a bit of a performance hit, not a huge amount, because the Rosetta architecture and the way that it's been written is very, very good. It's very efficient, especially compared to any kind of emulation that's happened before, and certainly better than Microsoft has managed on an ARM instruction-based CPU, with what they've done with their Surface computers to emulate anything with x86 instructions. But it still is running through an emulation layer, through a translation layer. So there's always going to be some issues there. The only games really that you can get natively on Apple Silicon right now are things like Among Us, because it's been written for the iPad as well, and so they've kind of just ported that over and changed the display resolutions. There's a handful of other stuff that works okay. Obviously, Apple demonstrated Legend of the Tomb Raider running through Rosetta at the beginning, and that's absolutely fine. But if we want to get the absolute maximum performance out of these machines, the games have got to be written to use Metal, which is the graphics engine that Apple has developed that allows the games to access these GPUs directly. rather than using something like OpenCL or OpenGL. I don't know which ones it is. I'm not a gamer kind of guy. But the biggest things that Apple could do if they want these systems to be taken seriously for gaming is probably buy some gaming studios so that games can be developed directly for Apple Silicon. Absolutely take advantage of the power that's there, everything native, and that will be what needs to happen. It's not about the hardware anymore. The hardware is absolutely capable. Now what we're waiting on is developers to recognise that and see that there's enough of a market there for them to actually do it. So if you want more games on Apple Silicon, the best thing you can do is email the developers of the games that you want to play on Apple Silicon and say, please make a native version. Please port it to Apple Silicon. In a lot of cases, many of these games can be turned into a universal binary quite quickly, because if it's been written for Mac at all in the first place, including for Intel, then most of the tools have been put in place already by Apple. But it comes down to developers understanding that people actually want it. And as Apple Silicon starts to become more and more of the gaming market, or become more and more of the Apple market at least, that will happen. And Apple is going to start taking more market share as well away from Windows, I think. So fingers crossed, it's one of those things that is just going to take a little bit of time. ViciousDave for Life, who is one of my favourite followers, I've got to say, his videos are really cool, go and check them out. Apple is not going to update their Intel Macs, they're done with them. They will support them until the end of 2022, but I'm sure Apple will say something like, we've upgraded our products to Apple Silicon and we want to let you know that we will not be making any more Intel-based computers. However, we will support those who use them until holidays 2022. So yeah, there was a bit of a discussion in the thread about this. There were people saying they're going to get 5 to 7 years of support. There's people saying a few different things. Now, all we have at the moment is the fact that we can look back at what Apple has done in the past and how long they've supported stuff for previously. Now, my 2013 iMac over here does not get support anymore for new operating systems. So that got 6 years. 6 years of updates. So from 2013 through to 2019. Those were the years that you could get the brand new thing. 6 years is not too bad. So it's right in the pocket of that 5 to 7. Some of the 2012 models did get support for Big Sur. Some of the 2014s didn't, I think. I think you had to have 2015 or newer, maybe 2014 or newer for the iMacs. So it's basically in that little pocket there. It's about 5 years. Now, with a big shift like this, I feel like Apple is probably going to go for the lower end of that, so the 5 years. I know Apple said they're going to be completing their transition by 2022. That, I think, means that's when they will stop selling Intel Macs. The last one they released was 2020. That was the iMac update, the 27-inch that got the new display coatings and new processors and stuff like that. So I actually think that 2025 will be the year that they stop supporting with new operating systems. Now, I don't know if the 2025 version will get Intel support, or 2025 will be the first year you don't get support for Intel. But as I've said before, I do think that you're going to start getting people wanting to move over to Apple Silicon more and more, because Apple's going to start putting in features that will only run on Apple Silicon. So rather than being a this is where we stop kind of thing, I think that the way that it will happen is more and more people will want to move over to Apple Silicon, because A, the performance is just going to be mind-blowing compared to the Intel stuff that's out there already, and 2, there are going to be more features like being able to run iPad and iPhone apps that will only really support Apple Silicon, because it needs to be supported in the hardware, and it's not about disabling software features or anything like that. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. Let me know down in the comments if that made any sort of sense to you, or if it was a bit rambly. But hopefully that does make sense. Apple's going to kind of incentivize people to move over, so I don't think there's going to be many people by next year that want to buy an Intel Mac. As soon as we get M1X, there should be almost no reason to buy an Intel Mac unless you absolutely have to have Boot Camp. And at that point, I really think being able to do something like TeamViewer to a dedicated Windows PC that you can use for those bits and bobs that you need on your Mac is going to be the way forwards. And as I say, we need to get that gaming support coming to Macs as well, but that comes down to the developers, not to Apple themselves, unless they're going to just buy some studios. Okay, so Notification Squad, we have a couple of new members. We have Hilso and that one that asked a question as well. So I'm going to throw it up on the screen so that I can say it. Sasha Varel, Mother Maria Ash, Juk Lukui Miania Sajvan Iavik. I don't know why people are trying to challenge me with these names now. I can't imagine that's an actual name. If it is, I don't know why Mother Maria's in the middle of it. But thank you for joining the notification squad regardless. And just before we move on, yesterday I put out some of our OneShot videos, so I kind of took some of the main topics that we talked about in yesterday's video, put them out. I put them out kind of late night here in the UK, which I think means they're kind of early evening in the US, probably. So if you see OneShot and you've watched our whole main video, you don't need to watch those because it is a revisit of the stuff that we've done, but you might enjoy it. If you want a clip of just a particular thing that you're trying to find, that might help you out. And for me, it's more so that people in general who are finding us for the first time can find the topics that they're looking for and might discover our channel through one of them, because it's very difficult to let people find all the news they want when it's just one big show. But I don't want to change that format. Hopefully that makes sense. Fingers crossed. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching this video, and if you want the latest Apple news and stuff and you don't want to miss it, make sure you join our notification squad, and I'll see you in the next one.